Fourth is from Samuel Polay. So true film fans likely know that there are 3 big indie distributors not owned by major studios. A24, Annapurna, and Neon. I love most of the movies these guys choose to take risks on, which is why I'm really distressed by reports that Annapurna is on the verge of bankruptcy after a terrible financial 2019. With Disney putting the future of Fox Searchlight in question, these 3 indie distributors will become more important than ever, and I'd hate to see one of them disappear. Do you think this is big trouble for the indie scene?
Well, look, it's not just personally, I don't think this is just trouble for the indie scene. Mm-hmm. I think this sort of stuff is trouble for the movie industry as a whole. Look, we all love the big Marvel movies. I love the big DC movies. I love Star Wars. I love James Bond. I love the Mission Impossible franchise. I love my big Hollywood movies. I do. But the heart and soul, the soul of the movie industry are the deeper, profound, artistic films that give us as film fans a well-rounded movie experience. We get to see our Justice Leagues, and we get to see our more kind of heartfelt, dramatic, artistic films as well that round us out as film fans and give us a more full experience at the movies. It's great to have them all. Things like Annapurna represent not just, something along the lines of the indie film. I think we're limiting ourselves by just saying, what about the indie market? And by the way, Annapurna is much more prolific as a production company themselves than a distributor. So keep that in mind as well. It's not just the indie picture realm. This is the health of the movie industry, I believe, as a whole. When you have all these studios that they just listed, which I'm glad that they did, including in Annapurna, you're looking at a significant chunk, and I'll use the word again, a significant chunk of what I believe is the soul of the movie-going experience today. Just for an example, let's take a look at some of the films that Annapurna is either exclusively or partially responsible for over the last few years. Now, this is small text. You might have a hard time reading this on the screen, but movies like Lawless, The Master, Zero Dark 30, Spring Breakers, Her, which is so very good, American Hustle, Foxcatcher, Joy, Everybody Wants Some, The Hilarious Animated Sausage Party, Detroit, which is amazing. Phantom Thread. I mean, how many of these movies on this list were nominated for Best Picture? Seriously, including Phantom Thread. The Sisters Brothers, If Beale Street Could Talk, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Vice, Booksmart, which I still think is the best movie of the year. Where'd You Go, Bernadette, which is apparently great. I haven't seen it, and apparently nobody's seen it at this point. Nobody cares where Bernadette went, apparently. But the point is, look at the caliber of these movies. Look at the heart and soul and artistic merit. It's almost like every other film on this list got serious Oscar buzz. And you look at stuff like another studio like A24. We rave and rave and rave about what A24 is doing. Rightfully so. It is so vitally important. Again, not just for the indie movement. This is so vitally important, I think, for the movie industry as a whole, because without films like these, without movies like these, without these movies that truly make us think and feel introspective and get really good, deep stories to go along with our big fun fare as well, it just becomes a much more shallow place to be as a film fan. And we need studios like this. We need distributors like this, because more and more, and I don't blame them, but more and more as studios like Warner Brothers and Disney and whatnot are looking for the big blockbuster films. They're looking for the big franchises. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Those are fun.
Nothing wrong with that at all. I love them. But while they're going that way, we've got to have these creators. We've got to have these organizations that are committed to giving us these other kinds of movies that are, well round out the movie-going experience. And I think if this goes south, I think it's a major blow to the film industry. I really, really do. Anyway, that's how I see it. Chris, you see this whole thing. What do you make out of it?
How am I somehow more cynical than you today? I had so much sleep. So I completely agree that these are very important films. You just look at that list, and like you were saying, those are all high caliber, incredible films. And maybe I'm saying this because I live in Los Angeles.
And then there's Sausage Party.
Sausage Party. Treat your animators better, guys. Come on. Don't be shitty to animators. And maybe this is because I live in LA and I see all the billboards constantly. But do we love our award season?
Oh,
do
yes.
we love the prestige of what I like to call Oscar season, a series of hard to watch. And because all of the movies you get when you get your screeners are just like, oh, this is going to be so depressing. Oh, it's going to be really, really good acting, but afterwards I'm going to have to eat a tub of ice cream. So I don't think these studios, or at least these films, will actually go anywhere. Because we've seen Disney start to try to kind of put their hand into the prestige things too, right? With like what we've talked about with Mulan, how that's going to be a more serious film. That's still a kind of mainstream, big budget blockbuster movie. But I think they're still going to make these smaller indie films with high caliber actors and try to really push the limits of storytelling and acting, because that's what all of Hollywood also likes to see. A lot of times award season is just this kind of self-masturbatory thing. And you know what? Hollywood really likes to get off. So I think these films and these studios are totally going to be okay.
I certainly hope so, because one like Annapurna filing for bankruptcy is not the greatest sign.
Well, someone can swoop in and look like a savior then.
I sure hope so. Question is, guys, what do you think about this? How do you feel about the current state of that, the importance of studios like these, or do you not see them as important at all? It all depends on your point of view. How do you see it? Jump down in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts.